How to date without anxiously attaching too fast and even pushing him away or even losing yourself. If you notice a pattern where you finish one relationship and the next person who's even a little kind to you, gives you a little bit of attention, is attractive or is complimenting you, and you immediately feel again they are the one. This is usually happening because you're anxiously attached. Anxious attachment shows up as needing someone else to feel safe, validated, or okay in your own skin. You rush into a new connection not because this person is actually healthy or because you actually like them for who they are, because your nervous system is screaming for a new connection. And the core issue is the speed at which you are attaching. You start imagining a future together, sharing too much too soon, texting constantly. You're over investing emotionally, all before you can truly know them for who they actually are, right? You're brushing off red flags, and that rush often really backfires, leaving you anxious, spiraling, or even pushing them away in the end. And the worst is you're losing yourself all over again, at the point that even 30 years later, you don't really know what you actually like. What is your favorite color? What kind of food do you like? Because you're only letting your partner decide for you, and you've abandoned yourself so much that you don't really know who you are anymore and what you want and what your goals and passions are in life. Today, we're talking about how you can date steady in a gradual way, how securely attached people would date, how to stay grounded, curious, and fully yourself so you can see if someone is actually right for you without losing yourself or scaring them off as well. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Yula. I'm the Anxious to Secure coach, and welcome to the Anxious to Secure podcast. Disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or doctor. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or heal any mental health condition. If you're in an abusive relationship or dealing with severe mental health challenges, always seek professional advice. Just a quick touch on what actually anxious attachment looks like. So if you are anxiously attached, like I used to be, your nervous system over alerts to connection and rejection, even if it's just perceived abandonment or perceived rejection. So you want closeness very fast because you haven't really learned to connect with yourself. So you're really reaching for this safe place outside of yourself. So you worry about text and labels, and whether he's really into you, whether you are the priority. You overanalyze every word, every pause, every social media post. Sometimes you're attaching more to the idea of the person, to the idea of being married, rather than who they actually are. And you're brushing off everything that is going wrong. You're ignoring all of the red flags, and you're just like falling very hard, very fast. Your hope is romantic, and you're really like this relationship girl, as you would call yourself. So ask yourself, am I falling for who he really is, or for the comfort and reassuring that he gives me? Let's talk about some mistakes that are happening when you attach too fast to actually realize if this is actually bad or not, and what the consequences are of this. You text too much and over-explain your feelings too often. You even cancel your own plans constantly just to be available, or you don't even make plans just to be available for the next date. You imagine a future together before really knowing this person. You could be a serial killer by all we know. Even if they don't meet your core values, you brush it off like it's nothing. You make excuses for him. For example, if this person is very inconsistent, one day he shows up late or one day he cancels, you still make excuses for him because your feelings are already so strong, which is actually deep down more your nervous system flaring up and indicating you, hey, you know what, we know this is dangerous, we know this from your past. Instead of butterflies, you overshare personal trauma stories, you basically trauma dump on him, or you share all of your fears way too soon. And then you panic when he doesn't respond right away, or he doesn't respond too often, or you see they're online, but he hasn't texted you back. So the big problem here is that you're in love with the idea, not with the reality of things. You haven't built the muscle to feel safe on your own yet. So you latch on to anyone who seems available. to you, who gives you attention, who gives you a compliment, who even love bombs you, and it feels good. Of course, it feels good. Someone pays attention, someone sees you in that moment. But long term, you staying addicted to this love, and no one can keep this up. So later on, when they take it away from you, when they don't shower you with compliments anymore, you're like, hey, what's happening? I still need this because I haven't learned to give this myself. So again, you're starting attaching to their potential, not to their patterns. So during the honeymoon phase, everyone shows the best side of themselves, right? So if you attach too fast, you skip the real test of compatibility. You don't actually realize, do they match with my core needs and values? Can it actually work long term? How they act under stress? How does he treat other people? Is he showing up consistently? And your nervous system stays on high alert. Your happiness depends on their attention instead of being grounded in your own value, instead of being okay by just being by yourself, instead of giving yourself the validation and reassurance and quality time and just learning to fill your own cup. Now, 6 months later, you might realize who you are in the relationship and who they are. But leaving then feels impossible. Maybe by now you've already moved in together, or at least pictured it so many times that it feels so real. The magnetic pull of attachment combined with your survival instincts keep you in this relationship. And your abandonment wounds kind of tell you that leaving is not an option. You would rather stay in a very unhealthy dynamic where your needs are not being met and that this person is not who you thought they are. But leaving, no. You can't leave. You don't know who you are on your own. You don't know how loneliness would kill you. So you'd rather be with this person rather than being on your own. Even when you see now the red flags so clearly, the takeaway is here really rushing attachment doesn't just affect dating. It rewires your brain and body to expect anxiety in love. And the real problem is speed, moving too fast before you've learned to feel safe in yourself. So ask yourself, am I rushing because I'm anxious or because I'm genuinely interested in this person or in this dating process? So securely dating, what does it actually feel like? What's the difference here? Dating slowly isn't boring. It can be actually very fun and very magnetic. You show interest without overwhelming your nervous system and their nervous system. You maintain your life, your hobbies, and your friends as well. You notice how he actually shows up over time, not just what he says, but also if his actions meet his words. And you actually learn to meet them for who he is. So you stay grounded in your own value. So maybe you text to check in, but also are able to give him time to respond. Maybe you go on dates together, but then enjoy your evening alone also, and also with friends. You're not always planning your entire life around this person. You notice when he genuinely makes plans or invests effort without you having to prompt him. So ask yourself, am I acting from anxiety or choice? Let's quickly go over into different stages of dating and how we show up in each and what you can do here. So at the beginning, this is like the attraction phase. You're having like very light conversations, maybe a few flirty texts in between. And the thing you might be doing wrong here is over texting, over analyzing, trying to predict his feelings, bending over backwards to impress this person way too fast without even knowing, hey, do you actually like him? Instead, enjoy really the fun. Date several people. Keep it light. Focus on playful connection. Not planning it forever. Not already imagining the wedding and the kids and your names together. I think this is really the phase where you can just be having fun and at the same time already expressing, hey, you know what? This is actually what I want. I want someone who's serious, who really wants a long-term relationship or who wants to get married within the next 3 to 5 years versus of someone who's actually just a player who just wants to have fun and who's really scared of commitment. This is already the phase where you can slowly, figure this out without having to interview him during the dating phase. But I know if you are anxiously attached, you're often going into dating with like all of this pressure. You have to find this person right now without even giving yourself time to find the right person. So take your time and actually try to let loose a little bit. And if you date several people, that gives you the chance of saying, you know what, do you actually like this person versus do they like you? And then phase two is more like the talking stage where you might have already focused on maybe one or two people you really like, where you get to know each other more. So this is when you learn about habits and core values. You test the compatibility a little bit more. The thing you might be doing wrong here is wanting to add labels too soon. Like, what are we? Are we going to be exclusive? Like, are we already boyfriend and girlfriend? Imagining a future together very fast, or over investing emotionally. Staying grounded in your own life is very important. Still, keep up your habits, your routines. Don't drop everything just because you can see suddenly that he is marriage material. Keep hiking, seeing friends, cook your own meals together, enjoy your time alone while also connecting still with your inner circle. And if you don't have that, go out there and find communities that are for you. And that is easier said than done. I think the older you get, it's just really hard to keep up connections and build new ones, because as soon as everyone builds a family or they move away, it's just hard to have deep friendships and many friendships. But even if you just have one or two friendships, just ensure you actually reach out to them, even if you just feel like you just want to rather focus on a romantic partner. But it's so important to just, to keep up the friendships you still have and embrace also the past when you are alone and just diving into new hobbies and new adventures for yourself, because you only have one life. At least that's what I believe in. And here you can again casually observe, like, do his words now meet his actions when you meet, when you talk? You can ask him questions about his past relationship. This is important, like, to see, are you the one always reaching out? Because some people are just not the one who keep engaging and are the ones who reaching out to you. And if you want a man who is the initiator, then you have the clear signs of here, is he doing it or not? Because if he's not doing this in the dating phase, he won't do this later on. So this is very much what you get is what you will get later on. They won't change much. Or does he talk about his life or his feelings? Is it just all surface level? This is really a good indication of are they struggling with being vulnerable or not? Because if they're able to talk about feelings and being vulnerable now, usually it goes down a little bit the longer you are in a relationship with, because later on we fall easier into our comfort zone again. Here it's very important that you already check your non-negotiables. So are the pattern really aligned? Are your core values aligned? Are there any deal breakers you would not be willing to accept? Let's say you really want kids and he doesn't. It's really important to already know this. And even already when you're casually dating, if you really want to get married within the next 3 or 5 years, let's say, and the person you're dating already knows they don't want kids, don't think you can convince them, don't even continue dating or seeing this person. Yeah, you might fall in love very fast as someone who's actually attached, and then it's very hard to break it off later on, especially if your abandonment wound is still active and alive. And even here, I would say in this phase, you can still date and talk to several people as long as you're transparent with them. And it might seem very strange and weird and uncomfortable, because usually if you are anxiously attached and hope is romantic, you either want to focus your energy on one person. And I totally get this. But pushing yourself out of the comfort zone a little bit and adding less pressure, this might really help. So ask yourself here in this stage, am I seeing him clearly or just the comfort and attention he gives me? Are his main core values really aligned with my core values and needs? Or do I see a huge incompatibility issue? And then I would say the next stage would be the stage where you're officially dating and you really build this emotional connection with each other. Here you spend more intentional time together, thoughtful dates, sharing stories, and really bonding on a deeper level. And the thing you might be doing here wrong, if you are anxiously attached, is you're oversharing again way too soon, and you're dumping all of your traumas and past relationship stories onto him. You can do this, but do this gradually as well, and ask him for his stories. Notice if he shows up consistently again. Give space for both of you to feel emotionally safe. And I would always advise with physical intimacy, by the way, wait as long as possible to really go deeper, because if you rush this, and they do then ghost you or decide this is not for them, this can really have a huge impact on your self-esteem, because if you cross the step, there's no going back. And I feel like, especially as women, if you cross this boundary, you can feel lots of resentment towards this person and towards yourself in the end if you cross the step. And it's really bonding you to this person. So I personally would push this out as long as possible to not do this too fast, definitely not in the first stages where you don't actually know this person yet. And this also helps you to realize, hey, is this person actually into me, invested into me long term, or is it just a casual thing for them? Because a lot of people who have more like a disorganized attachment style, for example, who struggle with vulnerability, they find it much easier to cross this line sooner, because physical intimacy is not as vulnerable as just talking about emotions and opening up about feelings and stories and their past. So this is actually a good sign to like seep out the ones who struggle with being vulnerable and commitment and all of the stuff, versus the ones who are actually able to just connect with you on an emotional level. And this is really how trust is built gradually. Trust is not something that is given automatically or when you just meet them. So it's not something you give right away. So ask yourself, am I ready to share this part of myself, or am I doing it to feel safe, to keep attention? And then the next stage is more the stage where we becoming more like of a thing, of an item, where you say, okay, maybe now we're only dating each other exclusively. So now it might be more of a thing where you say, you know what, I'm not going to date anyone else. I'm only going to see you. So you're going to probably delete yourself on all of the apps, on Tinder, on whatever they're all called. And you're going to kind of have a chat about this. And this is where you literally say, you know what, I'm going to spend all my energy focus on you. And this is going to turn hopefully long-term into a relationship, right? The thing you might be doing wrong here is moving too fast again, expecting constant togetherness, or wanting them to give up all their hobbies or social life to just prove that now they're only into you, only prioritizing you over their friends, over their work, over their hobbies, just because you are now exclusive. But healthy exclusivity is more choosing someone thoughtfully when both of you are ready to show up fully. Actions and consistency matter more than just words and labels. Keep your routines and self-respect and personal space. That is extremely important. Don't lose yourself in this. And even later on, if this turns into a relationship and even marriage, it's so important that you don't just drop everything for this person. Yes, when it really matters, you want to prioritize this person over something else. But in other situations, you still want to be there for your friends. You still want to continue your life so that not everything overly depends on this person. And this is the healthiest way how you can really date, create, and build romantic relationships in a way that you don't lose yourself. You still know who you are. You can still validate your own emotions, have people who support you in your cycle without actually putting too much of a focus on this one person. Because then if something goes wrong and there are problems or challenges, or you might have to break up or even play with the idea, not your entire life falls apart, because they have not been your entire life. They just have been a big part of your life. And you still have your friends. You still have your things that fulfill you. So something you can ask yourself here is, am I choosing this person because they fit with my life and values, or because I'm afraid of being alone? So a few things you can do here is, for example, journaling. And ask yourself, am I acting from anxiety or choice? You can do a nervous system reset and really learn to process your emotions. I have a video on this, on how to sit with your emotions with this 90-second rule or formula. You can do really breath work and breathing exercises, or short mini walks to clear your mind, get grounded, connected with nature, meditations, and really important, consistency. Show up consistently for yourself, no matter what you tell yourself. If you want to go for daily walks, meet your friends, go to a daily coffee, go to your favorite coffee place, or just have some time alone where you just do something creative or go dancing. Do this at least consistently, no matter if it's once a week, twice a week, or daily. Show up for yourself consistently, no matter if you're single, dating, being exclusive, or if you're married. And then really observe, not from a hypervigilant point to hyper focus on what the person does, but really kind of slowly observe what this person is actually showing you. Notice their patterns over time, because when you're slowly dating, gradually, you are realizing, hey, can I actually trust this person? Do their values and core needs meet mine? And if you are jumping way too fast into the dating scene, you don't actually see and meet them for who they actually are. And it builds up resentment and anxiety. And then it's so hard to leave the situation because of your fear of abandonment. So as a quick recap, dating is not boring. It's about protecting your energy, staying grounded, and seeing this person very clearly for who they are. You don't need to chase or really analyze or overthink this whole process. You can let connection grow naturally while showing up calm and confident and consistent in your own life. By the way, if you want any help with this, I have WhatsApp or Telegram support where you can text with me back and forth, and I coach you through like challenging moments. And I also have coaching via video where I usually meet bi-weekly or even unlimited, depending on the program. So reach out to me via email or hop on a free call with me to check if this is the right fit for you in your journey in becoming more securely attached. Lots of love. See you next time. Yula. Bye-bye.